Hello everyone, my name is Rahul Joshi and welcome to my YouTube channel Selenium Easy with Rahul. So in our previous sessions we already had discussed that locators are the way to uniquely identify a HTML element on a web page. We also had discussed about the locator preferences, out of which we discussed the preference number 4, that is XPath. So today we are going to discuss on XPath in details. Also please go through the previous sessions if you didn't refer yet. So let's start the session.
XPath in Selenium is an XML path that is used for navigation through the HTML structure of the page. As I mentioned, it is my favorite way to identify the elements in a web page. It is a powerful technique that can be extremely useful when other techniques like locator by ID or name or link text fail to find the elements. So if I talk about the syntax of XPath, then XPath starts with a double slash that denotes the current node. Then we need to write the tag name. After that, we need to put the square brackets followed by at the rate, which means select attribute. Then we need to write the attribute name. And we know, right, attributes are the properties of the element. So we need to write that. And after attribute name, that is equals to the attribute value. Okay. And then we need to close the square brackets. We already had discussed about the HTML tags and attributes in our previous session, but I am reiterating it again just because, so that, you will again remember like whatever we had discussed earlier. These HTML tags and attributes are very crucial for us while we are generating or creating our XPath. So as we know, right, after the start of the Angular bracket, there exists the tag, right? So in this example, after this Angular bracket, we have button. So this is a tag, and rest of the properties such as type, value, class, etc. are the attributes that are the properties of the tag or element, and they always exist in a key value pair, right? Lastly, already mentioned that this is the start tag, right? And we have the end tag. So whatever between the start tag and the end tag, there exists a text. So let's discuss about the XPath using the single attribute. So this is the common approach which combines a tag name along with the one attribute at a time, right? So the syntax is like double slash, then tag name, and in the square brackets, we have to write at the rate attribute name and its value. So let us take this example. So we know, right? In this case, we have the button as a tag and we have so many attributes, right? So if I talk about, or if I have to give the example, then in order to find the XPath using single attribute, we have to write double slash and the tag name is here button, right? And then we need to write or start the square bracket, then at the rate, then we are taking attribute name as name and equals to in the single quotes we have to write its value, that is login. Similarly, if I have to take another attribute, then also we can do like a double slash button, then in the brackets we have to write at the rate. So one of the attribute is data test id, right? At the rate data test id is equal to its value is royal underscore login underscore button. Okay. So we can also write like double slash button in the brackets. We can write at the rate class is equal to its value. This is also the way that we can do. But the thing is like we have to make sure that the property or the object that we are creating must be unique, right? And most of the time, I would recommend not to use class attribute just because in the future it might change. Let me give you an example how we are going to identify the object and how we are going to calculate the XPath via single attribute. So let us see how we are going to create the XPath using single attribute. And let us take an example like, for example, we want to find the object for this login button. Just simply right click on it, select the inspect option, and you will notice that the DOM tree will be visible to you after that, right? For the login button, if you have noticed, we have the tag as button and we have so many attributes, right? So first of all, let's discuss about the syntax, which is double slash, then tag name. After that, in the square brackets, we have to write at the rate attribute name and then its value. Okay, so in this example, if you have noticed, we have the button tag. So we have to write double slash button. After that, in the square brackets, we have to write at the rate attribute name. So in this case, I can see that we have one attribute as value is equal to 1, which I believe it is not a unique property, or I do not recommend actually to use it. Similarly, class is also I'm not going to recommend it because many times it gets changed. So I just want to skip it. So name is the attribute that has less chance that it gets changed. So let us take it. So if I write here @name is equal to, its value is login. Okay. And we have to enclose this login value within the single quotes. So let me copy this value. Just go to the DOM structure, press Ctrl F from the keyboard, and here in this text box, just paste the value. So if you've noticed here, the element is getting highlighted, right? And when I'm hovering over here on this element, then in the application also, the button is getting highlighted, right? So that means we are able to identify the object. Similarly, at the bottom section, if you have noticed, it is written like 1 of 1. So 1 of 1 means that we have a unique property and there is only one element with this property, with the name or with the value as /button @name is equal to login. So again, let me take another example for the same, login button. So instead of name, let's take another attribute. Okay, so again, the tag name is button, then the square brackets @ instead of name, let's take data test ID. Okay, all right, data test ID, and then equals to, in the single quotes, we have to copy the value. So here it is. Let me copy the complete XPath and let's paste over here. And if you see again, the button tag or the button element is getting highlighted. And it is here like 1 of 1. That means it is a unique object. So let me take another example so that you will be able to understand like how to use or how to create the XPath using single attribute. So let's create the XPath for the email text box. So let me inspect this element. So if you've seen here, we have the input tag and we have so many attributes, right? So here in this example, what we need to write, /input, then @, then we can take, because I already tell you that class, I don't recommend to use class because every time it might change, right? So let's take name is equal to email, right? So @name is equal to email, right? So if I copy and paste here, so if you see, yeah, we are able to find the correct object because it is highlighted as well as 1 of 1. That means it is a unique property. Let's take another example. Like if I take the attribute as placeholder, then what will happen? /input, right? And attribute name as placeholder is equal to, then the value is email address or phone number enclosed within the single quotes. I just close the square brackets, copying this value, and I just pasting here in the DOM tree. Okay. Oh, all right. So I forgot actually to put the value actually within the single quotes. So yeah. So if you see here, object or the element is correctly highlighted, right? And 1 of 1 means it is a unique property. So in this way, actually, we are going to calculate or we are able to find the XPath using the single attribute. So let's discuss about the type 2 to find the XPath via multiple attributes. So as the name suggests, we are going to create the XPath using a tag and more than one attribute. So the syntax for creating the XPath using multiple attribute is /, then tag name. And in the square bracket, we have to write the first attribute name along with its value. And in another square bracket, we have to write the second attribute name along with its value. So if I consider this example, okay, and suppose we have to find the object for this particular element, then what we need to write is /, the name of the tag is button here, right? So let's take the very first attribute as name, right? So what we have to write in the square bracket, @name is equal to its value is login. right? We need to close the square bracket. Again, we have to add another square bracket for the second attribute. So the second attribute we are taking is the data test ID. Okay. So we have to write @data test ID is equal to its value. And at last we have to close the square brackets. So in this way, we are going to create XPath using multiple attributes, right? So let's take the example of the Facebook page in which I'm going to demonstrate like how to use or how to create the XPath using multiple attributes. So just check out. So let's see how we are going to create the XPath using multiple attributes. So as the name suggests, multiple attributes means we are taking more than one attributes to create the XPath. So the syntax for that is like / tag name, and then the attribute name is equal to value. This is the attribute name 1. Then we have to also add attribute name 2 is equal to its value. So let's take the example. Let's take again the email address text box example. So, we need to inspect that email address. So here we have the tag name as input and we have so many attributes. So how we can identify the object is like / name of the tag, that is input. Let us take name as an attribute, right? And we will also take the ID as a second attribute. Okay. So let's write @name is equal to its value is email, right? And let's me close it. Then again, we again have to start, or we have to again add the second attribute name as well. So in this, again, we have to start the square bracket and we have to write @ID is equal to email, right? Let me close it. So let's copy it and let's see if we are able to find the object or not. Yes, if you see, it is highlighted as well as 1 of 1. That means it is a unique property, right? So I hope that you understand that, right? Again, I'm taking another example, okay, so that it will be clear. Let's take another example as create new account button. Okay, so here let me write / the name of the tag is A, right? Here it is A. Let me take the attribute as role is equal to button. That is the first attribute. @role is equal to, in the single quotes we write button. Okay, closing the square bracket. Again, we need to again start another square bracket and the second attribute name we need to write. So we can't take the class because it will change. It might change, right? HF is equal to hash. It don't look it don't look promising, right? So we can take data test ID. It looks right. It will not change maybe in the future. @data test ID is equal to, in the single quotes, we can write its value, right? Okay, let me copy this object. Let's see. So yes, if you see here, it is correctly highlighting the element along with we have 1 of 1. That means it is a unique property. So in this way, we are going to create the XPath using multiple attributes, right? So that is it from today's session. In the next session, we will learn about finding XPath using text and contains function. So stay tuned. Lastly, please post me the queries on my Facebook page or my YouTube channel. That is Selenium Easy with Rahul. We'll meet you in next session. Thank you so much.